Welcome back, everybody. This is Blerd'S Eyeview After Dark. I'm your host, Chris Fury, and tonight we're talking about a special spoiler episode of WandaVision, the first 5 episodes. With us is my co-host, DC. How's it going, DC?
I'm still here. Let's Scott Summers bashing this time around.
Let's Scott Summers bashing. we had cosplay diva special agent Candy B. I put it on a special mission, so she's not with us, but we do have another guest with us. He's Chris Dixon, aka Mr. Tetris Cosplay, owner of Foambender Forge LLC and co-owner of Black Cosplay Boosters. How's it going, Mr. Tetris?
It's chilling, y'all. What's up?
All right, so let's get right into it. WandaVision, DC Plus or Disney Plus's, WandaVision, Disney Plus's first foray into short form television storytelling, crossing over into films. What are you guys thinking of it so far?
I like it.
It's everything.
It's what?
It's everything.
Is it?
It's everything. They're doing it justice.
They're definitely doing it justice. I think this is something that a lot of fans were looking forward to. We spoke about it on the show earlier tonight, where we were always looking for it from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and we would almost get there, but then they would scale it back. They would always scale it back. Yeah, besides the couple appearances from Sam Jackson's Nick Fury and Maria Hill, Lady Sif. I mentioned, I think it was in like season 3 or 4 when they mentioned something about the Avengers or the Avengers Initiative, and it opens up in the Age of Ultron. That was about as much as we really.
Oh yeah, because they didn't do Winter Soldier too much.
Yeah,
they didn't. It was just like the collapse of Shield. Oh, they're not gonna talk about that. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So they very much glazed over a lot of stuff. And some of
they're trying to avoid confusion.
They and I think at the time they didn't really know how to address it. That's my honest opinion, because they probably would have been shoehorned into keeping things condensed and connected with everything in the film. And I get that. But at the same time, I felt like it was kind of a cop-out too. So
I thought Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the way Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. ran, I could have been honestly convinced that it was made and directed by DC, like
that bad.
DC universe. Absolutely, yeah. I honestly could have felt like it would have been on par with that. It didn't make no sense. Like it was cool, the concept of it, and then they just like threw a flashpoint in it, and then threw a Crisis on Infinite Earths in it, and now they're in space in the future, and
it got weird quick. It was ambitious.
It got weird.
So much they could. Like, I mean, I was binging it just so like I could catch up on it. I was binging it like a couple months ago. I went to sleep on an episode.
And woke up there on the moon.
Yeah, literally, like I woke up, the Earth was a fracture, and they were in the future. I'm just saying, like, how do you go from like we're fighting, Hydra terrorists or some shit, robots and whatnot. Yeah, it was like body decoys.
The like model,
fighting robots, and then now you in space with aliens and whatnot as slaves. Like,
it was weird. AOS was weird. I mean, it had its moments though. It definitely had its moments. I'll give them that.
I'm not gonna lie, I love the show.
I just hated that they like in the films they never addressed Phil being back. Like he was gone and now he's back. And you mean to tell me that Cap or Tony never once questioned? And mind you, Nick has been in contact with all of them at some point, and it was never mentioned.
Because that's how they kept that true. No, that part I will say they kept that true to how Nick Fury runs with compartmentalization of everything. So it shows like how serious that was. Like, oh, they really never knew. Nah, this is Nick Fury. This is how he does things. Okay, cool, that's valid.
Okay, I can take that. I can take that.
If there was ever a point, if there was ever a point that they could course corrected anything, and brought Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. back into something that made sense and that was possibly watchable, they should have introduced the blip, and they should have introduced Thanos, and they should have introduced that Endgame. Oh, Phil is alive? he showed up through the portal too. Doctor Strange, the only one that knew he was alive. Yeah, okay, I could have accepted that as a way to bring back the show into something that people want to watch. But they left it out to dry.
Yeah, that ending was
dry at best.
It was bad. But WandaVision,
it was weird.
I was trying to explore it.
Yeah, so WandaVision, which is what we're talking about. WandaVision.
Never mind.
WandaVision starts off with a very in a very strange place, which is what's to be expected from someone like the Scarlet Witch. But it starts off with a 1950s style Lucille Ball episode. And no one knew what the hell was going on. You had to really have a keen eye to spot a few things,
or a lot of weed.
You had to read a comic book to see a couple things. Like that.
You did. You really had
mushrooms.
I think the most, but they really, and I like the fact that they're like these half-hour episodes, except for episode 5. They're like these half-hour episodes, and I like the fact that they really started getting to it. It may not have been. Now, some people complained. They complained like, what else happened? You know, they complained. And my thing was, well, that's because they forgot how to watch television. You know, we had gotten spoiled with binge watching.
Microwave minutes.
Right.
And it was a television show of a television show. That was the
fourth wall.
Yeah, it was, and we'll get to that part of fourth wall.
Very little fourth wall.
So things really started to break down in the first episode. You just started seeing things where I think it was I can't remember the boss, Vision's boss's name, but Mr. Hart.
Yeah,
he starts choking, and his wife is saying, "Stop it." But you notice when she's saying, "Stop it," things kind of break. Reality starts to fracture a little bit, and it starts becoming a little bit surreal. And Vision uses his intangibility to take whatever's lodged in his throat out, which was probably a piece of sausage or something. You know, they're eating breakfast for dinner, you know. But the two takeaways I seen in that film or in that episode were just that part. And then earlier in the beginning of the episode where you see Wanda and she's washing the dishes and rearranging stuff, and Vision walks in and hits him in the head with a plate. Well, he says, "My wife and her flying saucers." And she says, "My husband and his indestructible head." And I laughed at that because she has a kind of a wink and you miss it moment, because I'm like, oh, his head really isn't all that indestructible because of her and Thanos. You know, what was your take?
Thanos, I think it was cool, but I do like this. He's made out of vibranium, so it's like he should be indestructible, which is what I should be.
He should be.
Yeah, he should be indestructible. But then again,
you would think
Thanos out here breaking shields and shit and plucking people's brains out. So it is what it is.
I don't know. Looking back at it now that we've gotten so far ahead, that scene at the table makes so much more sense of her saying "stop it," because it was kind of like the
it wasn't just her
telepathy, like the bond she had on her was kind of breaking, and you could hear the pain in her voice. She's like, "Stop it," but then it's like she's going back. It's like he's going back and forth between the trends. It was just like now that I've gotten further ahead, looking back, it makes more sense. First watching, I was like, "Oh, this bitch crazy." She just out here just laughing, talking about "stop it," while her husband choking, not knowing that what's really going on behind the behind.
Yeah. Then they go and then
then the way they just left.
Yeah. It was crazy.
Like, I just want that. All right, time to go.
The theories started flying even then, because I was looking at it like, all right, what is the significance here? You know, the toaster commercial from Stark Industries, you know, the Hydra watch commercial, you know, you know,
the Laos paper towels,
the Lagos paper towels in episode 5.
Clean up a mess that you didn't make the mean to make.
It's perfect.
Yeah, there's so much.
It's guilt.
There's so much stuff. And it was all designed around what you know. I had like a couple theories from way back, like when they first announced it, like even before the trailer. For the show, I had mad theories, and I'm just like, I want X-Men so bad. God knows I want X-Men so bad in the MCU. If they do this right, they could really introduce X-Men.
So we're going to talk about. We're going to skip past episode 2 because although 2 was okay, things didn't really start. Things didn't really start happening until 3.
Until 3.
And 3
until
is
they
really
started going in the color. Yeah.
Yeah. When 3, you know, you got, and I'm going to put it out there, fine ass Tiana Paris playing Monica Rambeau, and she was
Monica.
Nummies. But she was bringing the A game, and you were really starting to see everything trying to really unfold and shift and turn around. And you're like,
well, let's not skip over the end of season 2, the way it ended with the
baby,
the guy coming out of the sewer.
Oh yes,
was that season 1 or 2?
That was episode 1, where the beekeeper comes out the sewer.
Wait, what guy coming out the sewer?
The beekeeper.
Yeah.
And then she found the drone with the helicopter. But
everything was in color. Dottie cutting her hand. You hearing Agent Wu on the radio.
Yeah, who's doing this to you?
And I picked that up right away. I'm like, that's Agent Wu. That's his voice.
I didn't know that was.
Yeah, that was him. I knew that was him. And then they go to episode 2, where like by the end of episode 1, Wanda's pregnant.
Yeah,
she gets pregnant, and so then they go to episode 2, and they're dealing with all it, and there's a lot of weird stuff that's happening. These loud sounds and Vision's getting scared. And it was all types of crazy,
which was wild because he's an android. You're not supposed to be getting scared of shit.
Yeah, he doesn't have he has a misunderstanding of things, but showing emotion beyond showing his emotion for his love for Wanda, he showed no fear. He literally showed
emotions, really.
Yeah, beyond what you've seen in Infinity War and everything else, with him showing emotion towards her, he had no other emotion. So now you're seeing him, acting like a scared husband, and it was really weird. But then when he's doing he's dealing with the super speed thing, which was really weird because I'm like,
once I saw that, I knew what that was. Yeah, I knew instantly that was. I was like, this nigga not fast. The fuck out of here. She was like,
he's fast, but you've never seen him do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not that.
I'm like, where you pick this up?
That's why by the time you get to episode 3, and it's the 70s. Really he's running around fast, and I'm like, dude, you can fly. Why are you running? I get that you're at the computer typing fast, okay, but you're running to get to the doctor, like when you can actually fly. So they go into the whole thing, and then that's when this is where the whole thing starts to take a turn on its head, and Wanda delivers Tommy, and the doctor comes in because the Vision and the doctor missed it. So Monica helps her deliver Tommy, and then he says, well, let's go in here. Let me help, talk to the doctor. And then that's when she has Billy. And then this whole thing, everything was already going haywire. You had the stuff with Herb.
Neighbors,
Herb cutting through the wall with the leaf trimmers and the hair trimmers, and Agnes, who everybody's theory is pretty much the same on Agnes. They think she's Agatha Harkness. She has the same brooch in every time period. It's either a necklace or it's a lapel brooch or something, but she always has it on. And she's more than just the nosy neighbor. Certain things that she says, like the devil is in the details, and there's way more going on. And by the end of episode 3, she does the Sokovian lullaby to her children, and she's talking about her brother Pietro, and that's when you notice that it broke. Everything kind of, and it was at the same time that Herb was out there doing his thing, and all this happened at the same time.
He was outside.
And
a lot.
She mentions Ultron, and it pisses Wanda off instantly, and she tells her to leave. Now, this is something else I picked up on. but when she throws her out, she does throw her through 4 walls.
And she protected her clean through it.
Yeah, and so she
Clean.
broke the 4th wall.
Ass.
Yeah, but this is what I love about the character Monica that they're doing with Tiana Paris. When you get to episode 4, actually episode 5, when she's already outside and they're going back, and she's arguing in defense of Wanda, and she in her argument is straight solid. She says it. She was like, "You could have killed me. You could have, but you didn't." Like, she's telling her director, "She didn't hurt me. She could have, but she protected me." And he's like, "Well, he's taken the entire townhouse," and she said it would have been more had she not put up the quarantine, you know. And then she took it to Wanda. She's like, "You trusted me to deliver your babies, so somewhere deep down, you see me as a friend. You see me as an ally. You've been in my head. You know I mean you no harm." And episode 4 and 5 were the game changers.
That's where the action was at.
Those were the game changers, because see, now everything that happened in episode 1 through 3, you see how it all built.
Especially in 4, because 4 was like the behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Like 4 wrapped up a lot of loose ends for me.
Actually, I want to say something, because I acknowledge this from the first episode. Her using her powers on the dishes and things like that, from moving and cleaning the dishes up and everything.
Yeah.
You never saw her actual powers like activate. Anytime they ever show Scarlet Witch's powers, she got that red energy, that glow and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
When she's like hostile or about to attack somebody, where she got that red glowing energy.
Yeah.
Usually for anything that she does, she has that power around whatever she's moving and shit. They never showed that in those first 2 episodes. So for me, that was like a defining feature of how they did everything. It was like, this is absolutely subconscious. Like, she's doing this without needing to deliberately activate her powers. It's just subconscious how it is. She literally walked the reality around her, which is what we all know was her abilities. To the scale of her abilities, she would be able to do. She was a threat to herself at all times in comic books.
Yeah.
So they like descale her shit OD. I think they descaled her OD after House of M. I don't think they could have allowed her to be that strong after House of M.
Yeah, they had to. I think they did.
Yeah, like that was a solid clue for me that she's gonna be massive and powerful, because they never showed her powers activating on little things that they like blatantly expressed. That's what she's using her power on.
Mm-hmm.
And
you got to think that
she big too. Like,
they even
this is
said
way bigger than it's supposed to.
I think they said that, like, what is it, episode 5? Like, we don't know how strong she was.
Yeah. And like, she was kind of showing off almost, you know. I mean, they said it, like, she was the and we've all talked about this to somebody at some point after Endgame. There was no almost to it. She was handing
Thanos' ass.
She was handing Thanos his whole ass, and that's what Monica was saying. She almost beat Thanos. She was handling Thanos until he threw a blitz into play.
Yeah.
And then,
like, I think even Kevin Feige said that she would have killed him. Like, on record, like, this is official. Like, SU, like, she would have killed him.
Like, even he's seen that. Like, even Thanos was like, "Oh, this shit's about to end for me.
She got to drop over. Help me!"
Like, fuck these niggas. And fuck these niggas was a villain. It was Thanos.
Fuck this team. Yeah, kill this. Like, yeah,
the people were out there. Man, nigga, do you see her whooping my ass, nigga? Rain fucking fire, nigga, now. Fuck them niggas. This is either me or them.
Fuck them troops. They can't fire anyone. So, but them
niggas over there.
I love but like I said, 4 and 5 is where all the magic really is going down, because
especially 5.
Oh man, 5. There are so many.
5 kind of ended to me.
Look, I tell you this much: from what I've seen in episode 4, when they were walking through when her and the director were walking through the warehouse, and they focus for some unknown reason, they focus
On those rockets.
On those rockets, like somebody's working on rocket. I'm like, why did they focus so much? You can't even make out what it is, but they're focused on them. And then in episode 5, when she's talking about what she needs to break back into the barrier, when she's talking to Darcy, she's like, I need this and this, I need this thing to make or to be built out of this and all this other stuff. And she says, I know an aerospace engineer who would love this. And I'm like, she's got to be talking about Reed. I can't think of anybody else at this point in the game who was willing to do that. And I was like, they're trying to introduce the 4 right now. And
it would be ambitious.
It's a solid play.
It is a very solid play
to get them in.
And here's another thing I want to know. I noticed it with the lead scroll in Far From Home. When Peter is like, this job is too big for him. Where's Doctor Strange? Where's Captain Marvel? And he says, don't invoke her name. And then in episode 5 of this show, they Agent Wu mentions Captain Marvel.
Like Captain Marvel.
Yeah, he mentions Captain Marvel, and she has like this
weird look.
Yeah, like
she got this beef out here. It's like, don't bring her up.
Yeah, it was like, we don't know if it's. And it like today, I must have watched this episode like 4 or 5 times already because it's so much to digest. And all I could think of was like, okay, your mom died from cancer.
The radiation.
Is that because of being around Carol for too long? And like when they were doing a workup on, if they were doing a workup on Monica, and her results came back blank, and then they couldn't run the blood test for some reason, or something's going on with her blood test. You don't know what it was, but I'd be damned if these aren't eggs for her being Spectrum later on.
Yeah, I do like how they are breaking that up. Photon, Spectrum, Captain Marvel. I do like how they breaking up those titles, even though it all came back to one. But I don't know. I don't think. I mean, it's always a possibility, but I don't think right now that her dying from cancer has anything directly to do with Captain Marvel. I think it's just Marvel's getting ready to get rid of Brie Larson. Like that's my take on it. Like they're ready to write her off, and they're doing it like in a public way that makes sense across the board. Because if they really do, like we heard rumors, like Rogue is gonna be the villain for Captain Marvel 2 or whatever like that. That's a solid play to get her. I can accept that.
Yeah, because it played. That's how I played in the book. Yeah.
That's an acceptably way to write her off. So yeah, I don't necessarily think it's like shot people for her because like her mom died directly because of her. Even the time frame is off because she said like your mom died 3 years ago after you were gone for 2 years, assumingly from the blip and everything. That's 5 years. If this is the 5-year mark now, everybody's like cleaning up after, everybody comes back to life or comes back from.
It was a little too established.
The time frame is off. Captain Marvel was out in space the majority of those 5 years. And she even says it. Like, when are you coming back to Earth? Fuck if I know. She was gone the majority of that time. So the time frame doesn't really make sense on how mom would get cancer from Captain Marvel in that capacity,
Okay, I can dig
hours that. Maybe, but even just the time frame, it just seems off for that to be.
Because she left back in the 90s.
You figure she left in the 90s. Her mom obviously started Sword a couple years afterward. We'll just say so, give or take. It could have been held.
I will say I don't like the transition.
The who?
I don't like the transition for Sword.
Oh, the transition for Sword. Yeah, because it was not. If she
it's not weapons, it's sentient world.
Yeah, sentient world. Yeah,
it's not sentient weapons.
So with like how long has that been around? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you
especially with Far From Home, we saw the Sword Station Nick Fury was on.
So obviously it's somewhat established. Yeah, it's established, but we don't. Yeah, so we don't know. Like obviously, right? So
it didn't take right to me, but I understand. Like this is MCU, everything gets switched around. This is its own pocket universe amongst all the many multiverses and
narrative change
side of that. It's a lot of shit.
So yeah, it's there's a lot that's going on.
It's a lot to unpack, man. I'm waiting on episode 6 now. I'm like,
oh, hell
they're
yeah.
gonna drop it.
I do love how Wanda walks out there and she's talking to that was probably the most
way she
badass
came through that
move.
fucking
that globe,
the hex or whatever the fuck you want to call it.
But
and she
it
put the guns
just,
on, dude.
Yeah, you see how she did it.
I love that.
The way she did it, she was just like when she turned around, she was holding it the whole time, and when she turned around, she was like, "Bitch, please." She kind of did a bitch please move, and he was like, "Whoa!" And she just kept walking.
Hold up.
Yeah.
Yeah, the yappers on him. All right, it's still me, buddies. I signed the checks. Don't forget who signed the checks.
And the only one who wasn't in the only one who wasn't in danger was Monica because Monica called it.
Yeah,
there's a connection.
Yeah, she still called it. She's like, "You trust me. I don't know what it is, but you trust me." And then when they get back in there. When she gets back in there and they go through the whole thing and
the dog
and everything else, and she is becoming more and more open around Agnes. Like Agnes watched those kids age up, and she said nothing out of the ordinary. You know, she didn't see Wanda when she did the collar, or maybe she did, but when we seen her, she didn't see it. It did look like she didn't see it, and that's what Vision was saying. Like, you getting a little
loose.
Yeah, you getting loose. This was not the agreement we had, you know, like what happened? And when they start having their little argument,
that argument was
that argument was the major breakdown. And he was like,
"Oh man,
you're not gonna go to bed on me."
Yeah,
we like, switch it over tomorrow.
Like,
so he's becoming cognizant of that switch over when they go to bed and wake up the next day and the shit like a whole nother decade. He's starting to see that shit a little bit.
Can't remember nothing. And
past Westview.
Yeah, he's like, I can't remember anything before here. And he said, I can't remember anything. And then if you scale back to like episode 1, is it 1 or 2? One of those two. I can't remember. But when they're talking about they're doing a little talent show for the children, and they keep saying for the children, and then here it is, Vision mentions, he's like, where are the kids? He's like, there are no kids here. He's like, we have a playground, and I walk by this place every day, and there are no children. You know, just our own 2 kids. You know,
but you know it's crazy this time frame though. You gotta think she stole the body 9 days ago from what, the 4th episode. They really only been doing this for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, pretty much like
a little less than 2 weeks.
How fast everything is going, because if
inside of there,
if the time frame is running the same way or the same rate those kids grew up, I mean, who's to say how long they really inside that little pocket universe?
Well,
you know, it can't just be those kids that's aging up like that. It's got to be
adults,
according to everything that's going on, because apparently she can't fucking control it.
Yeah, and that was the other part of the argument when she
wants to live a long life with him.
And that was the other part of the argument is like, I don't even remember how this started. And that was the other red flag. I'm like, damn, you know, it's not all Wanda. She's just going along with it. So now who else is involved? You know, and you know, the theories are Mephisto, it may have something to do with Agnes, you know.
Yeah, I gotta find out about Mephisto's thing now. Like after I get off of this, I'm gonna go watch Pop Culture Explained by Rob Jefferson.
Oh yeah, check his stuff
out. Watch that.
He has great stuff.
Like I've been watching Comics Explained for so long. As soon as he made Pop Culture Explained, I'm like, I'm gonna watch that. Wait, WandaVision? Sure. Let him finish the show.
But yeah, it's
before I even look at your.
But the real major kicker was that final scene. And
weird.
Everything I was saying.
We get Evan Peters.
I was like, that dude look for, oh fuck, it's the other Quicksilver.
It's the Quicksilver who actually knows how to dodge bullets. It's
imagine that. The real Quicksilver.
Quicksilver that's fast enough to dodge bullets.
Yeah.
I never seen no bullets faster in my life. That don't make no sense.
Yeah.
if just in case anybody out there, that'll really sum up if Flash is faster than Quicksilver right there.
Yeah.
Barry Allen don't get shot. Barry Allen don't get shot like that. Don't get shot and die. Like you don't do that.
Exactly. He sees this stuff happening. He sees this stuff happen, and so it just makes you say, this right here is now for all the fans out there. The multiverse is now open for business.
Oh yeah.
It's. They already said that Deadpool has a job. Ryan Reynolds has a job here in the MCU now. He has a job.
Always, as the new Watcher, he'll always have a job.
As the new Watcher, well, wouldn't that be the nice twist?
He's essentially gonna be the new Watcher.
That would
guaranteed.
That would be a fantastic twist for him.
As a Deadpool fan, that would be fucking amazing.
Yeah, him breaking the fourth wall as the Watcher coming out like, yo, y'all see this bullshit? Like, yeah, that would be fire. Especially
like literally him saying that. Like, yo, you see this?
Yeah, like if y'all ever played the Lego Marvel games,
yes,
they're like Deadpool's always in the background doing some bullshit. Like you gotta find and save Stan Lee, you gotta get a red brick, you gotta go to Deadpool's home and give him the red bricks and shit like that. He's like a little Easter egg in all of the games.
You're gonna make me go upstairs, right? You're gonna make me go upstairs after this and play that game again because I have that game. It's such a fun game.
Them Lego Marvel games, they're legit. Like, it's some dope shit, man.
So yeah, this episode here,
absolutely.
When you talking about, and it's only 8 episodes. It's only, I think it's 8, or is it 8 or 10?
I think it's 8.
It might be 8. But talking about throwing it all on the table
quickly, because if this is a limited series and they're not like doing a second season, then fuck.
They are not playing.
I would be fine. I'd be so fine.
You don't need to have it to continue on because it's leading into Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Because they already announced that she's on that squad. So it doesn't need, you're right, it doesn't need a second season. But
give her her stat buff and put her in the multiverse madness of Doctor Strange and let them learn some extra shit. Let them go fight Mephisto or something like that. Put Doctor Doom in that motherfucker you could. Introduce the Spider-Verse. All this extra shit that's coming up. I said from jump. If they do one of 2 things, I'll be absolutely satisfied with WandaVision. And that's if you give us House of M in some form of capacity. This is showing a potential House of M. Mm-hmm. But on the other side, if you show us Heroes Reborn after like post Onslaught, where all the heroes that weren't mutants went and go sacrifice themselves, and Franklin Richards reality
bending and everything.
All the heroes reborn into the little ball they used to carry around. He created a whole pocket universe for them, and it was just a Heroes Reborn universe. That shit sucked. But it was essentially just a recreation while everything else is still going on out in the Marvel 616. If they did that, where this is her own pocket universe, she's the only reality warper that they've ever been able to put on film.
Yeah.
Period.
In other words, Warner Brothers and DC, y'all need to watch what the fuck is going on over here.
They're trash compared to this right.
I think the closest DC's ever come has been their television shows with their Crisis on Infinite Earth. That's as close as they've come.
No.
And that was just ambitious.
It was ambitious. I'll say it like this. It was a Hail Mary. DC's Crisis. Yeah, it was a hella Hail Mary. It was a Hail Mary like with a spitball and a blizzard. Like there was no way that was going to course correct every single thing that Arrowverse, the Smallville universe, and the DC universe movies was going to fix. There's no way that was going to fix everything.
Correct.
They shot in the dark with like Supergirl coming onto the CW because I was on like CBS or some bullshit.
Yeah, CBS for one season, then it got canceled.
On CW, yeah. There's no way that was going to course correct everything. Like DC just needs to start over. I don't care what they have going on right now. They need to fire everybody and start from scratch. I'm so sure they need to fire every single person on their roster. Give them a nice little check. Thank you for your service. Get the fuck out of my face and start over. Because the way Marvel set everything up in phases, from jump, they had all this planned out from jump. If we see how, like Thanos came up into Endgame,
Yeah.
and we see those Easter eggs along the way from well in the beginning of phase one.
First one, yeah.
Yeah, they weren't playing.
And you're looking at WandaVision right now. If you look
This
at
is phase 4.
right
WandaVision
now,
is the start of phase 4.
This is the start of phase 4. So if you're looking at WandaVision right now and you're like, yo, this shit is crazy. They can do this and a third. Oh nah. They can do Secret Wars.
Hell
They can
yeah.
pull a Beyonders out of somebody. They can pull a Beyonders out of somebody's ass in the multiverse of madness or whatever like that. They can have Dormammu come back like actual threat. They can have Mephisto. They can have what's this dude? They're definitely gonna have like Gore the God Butcher and Thor and everything like that.
Yeah, yep.
Like Gore the God Butcher goes directly, and I mean directly, into Nova Symbiote God.
Yeah.
You feel
Yes,
me?
he does.
Like,
Yes, he does.
that will of course correct all the Sony movies for Spider-Man. That will of course correct, like WandaVision's correcting Fox X-Men
Yeah.
right now. That of course corrects a whole lot of shit. I see that Crisis on Infinite Earths couldn't never.
They couldn't touch it. They couldn't hold a candle to it. The best they could do was like, we got to show the Barry Allen from Justice League movie with the Barry Allen on the television show, and we got to tie in.
All that special.
No, it was just like, oh shit, they did it
so bad.
Yeah,
they did it, but it wasn't done well. They just did it. They just did it to say they did it, and the shock value will have you watch it. And
is it fun to watch? It's great to watch.
You know,
Don't get me wrong. Yeah, it was great to watch, but you still look at you still look at the movies and like, y'all still suck ass.
You're still doing the same thing. Like, it's not a course correction if you throw a massive correction in the middle of it and you continue with the bullshit that was prior to the correction. It doesn't fix it.
You don't sit up there and make a Joker film and say, oh, this has nothing to do with the rest of the DCEU, and it's like, well, why make it?
I didn't understand that.
No. Unless you want to introduce multiverse theory and shit like that into DC, which they did with Crisis on Infinite Earths. And
but once again, it's almost a cop out.
Time travel is a cop out.
They do
that regularly with the Flash. Time travel is a cop out for anything. Like,
oh, they just blame everything on Barry. They blame it all on Barry.
Barry, what'd you do now?
Blame it all on Barry.
Like, damn it, Barry.
Keep coming back.
I did like the cartoon version of the Paradox.
Well, see, that's the thing. We talked about like DC's animated top notch.
I mean,
they know how to do it.
Shout out to HBO Max for that, because I've been watching a lot of DC animateds on there. Yeah. And they've been beautiful, but the movies I will not watch. I watched what was the other Superman and Shazam versus Black Adam was great.
And even their reboot. Yeah, even the DC animated movies, even their reboot, which was the last one, was the Flash Paradox, and I think it was no, it was Apocalypse.
Paradox.
Yeah, it was Apocalypse. I think it was the Apocalypse War.
Yeah,
there's another one, Civil War coming out. Sure
Justice League War is what started everything. It started that reboot for like New 52 reboot of everything. Yeah. Which is ideally supposed to come after Crisis on Infinite Earths. That's how New 52 started, after Crisis on Infinite Earths. So why didn't they do that with
a different team?
Exactly.
It was a different team.
Start over.
It's a different team. That's like EA making Madden and EA making college football. It's the same company, different teams working on the projects.
But that's the problem. You're not consulting. Now, this is what Marvel does, and this is why I call Kevin Feige the fucking blueprint master. I call him the chess master.
Godfather.
This man has all these moving pieces, but they all work together.
Yeah, they're working in a symphony because there's a plan. DC had a plan, and it got scrapped after Superman Returns. They had to scrap that shit.
Yeah,
now they just kind of keep up with Marvel, who is so far ahead of the game. They're just throwing shit out, hoping it worked.
Yeah, they're like,
Superman Returns was supposed to set up Justice League. Common was supposed to be John Stewart.
Oh yeah,
Randy Roth for Superman. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, I remember
that. I remember that.
That was the plan. I forget who Wonder Woman was supposed to be, but John Stewart was supposed to be Common. But this was back in what, 2005 ish.
I don't know. I would have lived.
This was before Tyrese was like really a star.
Nobody
Where? The Fast and Furious?
Nobody.
He couldn't leave that. That was all he could do. That was all he's capable of doing back then.
Come on, Jody.
Come
on, Jody. Join the league.
Yeah. That's all he was capable of doing was Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
And using all the baby oil.
And even Rock got at him about the head and stuff. So I'm like, hey, whatever. But what Marvel is doing right now is awe-inspiring at best. They're doing some great storytelling over there. And to hear people now, 10 years later, to hear people now say, oh, I don't think that's going to work. If it's Marvel saying, and they say
reportedly reboot Superman without Henry Cavill. Okay.
All right, here we go.
Well, we got this covered. So
I stay away from those guys.
They're
clickbait. But
it was on Google. I was on.
I don't see how they're getting Google pages. I don't get it. But
I don't know.
Money. People pay.
Yeah, money. That's gotta be money. But
to
see them move these pieces like they're doing, and it works. When I hear people say, "I don't think Guardians of the Galaxy is going to work," oh yeah, watch. And they made it work.
They sucking. Wow.
And they're like,
words now.
Yeah, like look at the numbers.
It's one of their best movies.
Exactly.
It's one of their best movies.
It was like, and I've had a conversation with people before. I said, what Marvel has managed to do in the 10 years that they've made 23 freaking movies is they gave you a War Peace movie with Captain America. They gave you a tech movie with Iron Man. They gave you a fantasy film with Thor. They gave you a space opera with Guardians. Then they said, you know what? Let's team all these bastards together and see what happens.
They give you an outright comedy with Ant-Man.
And kind of a heist comedy movie with Ant-Man. Let's team all these people together and see what we get. And look, and it's the best damn soup I've ever had.
They got a buddy cop movie. I'm trying to think of it right now. I know they have a buddy cop movie.
Oh, I'm waiting on the buddy cop movie.
Captain Marvel is a buddy cop movie.
Yeah, it did have a buddy cop movie feel with her and Nick Fury.
It's a buddy cop. Captain Marvel. Yeah.
Wasn't a funny buddy cop movie, but it was a buddy cop movie. And it still got
it was only funny because of Sam Jackson.
Yeah.
It was only funny because of Sam Jackson. That's it. They did their job. They did their job. They did everything that we wanted them to do for every genre. They have their little love stories in here and there. They give people what they want. They give people the happy ending that they was asking for, but they make sure that they stick to the integrity of what they're trying to do, which is a Marvel universe unto itself, just as significant as the Ultimate Universe, as significant as the 616. They stick to that shit.
Yeah, I love
if they decide to go to route Kang the Conqueror and have him as I can't really see Kang the Conqueror as the Thanos. But I can see Galactus as the Thanos. Hell yeah. I can see Galactus as the Thanos. Absolutely.
So
did they ever confirm who Christian Bale is?
He's Gore the God Butcher. He's Gore the God Butcher.
He is going to be Gore the God Butcher.
Yeah. He's Gore the God Butcher.
See, that's all I needed.
See?
That's all I needed.
Absolutely. They're fitting these puzzle pieces they have, and then they plan so far ahead.
It's outrageous how far
they're like
scope is.
when and he says it, and this is so crazy. Kevin Feige says it with such confidence. Oh, we've got movies 5 years in advance, dude.
Yep.
Like this is gonna work. This is and you can. Yeah, he was like, we've already got this in play. Like, what was it? D23? Was it last year? No, not last year. Year before that. When they had D23, and they made those announcements, and he was just like, Shang-Chi, Legend of the Ten Rings. It was like, we're bringing it back, and you're gonna actually see the Mandarin,
real Mandarin.
They're fixing their mistake, and they know where the mistake was made, and they're fixing it. Even in Iron Man 2. When they showed the scene where they're at the fair, and was it one? No. Not with the 10 rings. With that was 3. But
Whiplash, whatever his name
is.
Yeah,
with Whiplash. when
That
they
was
show
two.
that was two.
Oh, yeah.
When he goes down and he saved the little boy who has
Young
the Iron Man.
Spider-Man. That was
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
They were just
Peter
like,
Parker.
we're retconning it and we're making
Parker.
it. We're making it Peter Parker. And when you thought about it, when they were like, look, the age time matches up. Also, like the time that this movie came out and then the time that Spider-Man came out, the time matches up.
Sounds about right. That's what it is. Their math, I don't know if their math is true, but I believe them.
Yeah, it was like he's an 8-year-old kid,
All we need
and
is
now he's 16. Yeah, and it was like, this makes sense. All of this makes sense.
All the sense in the world.
You know, even saying that Tony Stark was the creator of Ultron instead of Hank Pym makes sense. When you, I mean, you know, if you read the books, you know, Hank Pym was the one that created Ultron. Huh? You said what?
Oh no, always run through. But I can accept that retcon.
Yeah, because it makes sense that way. You feel like, oh, he doesn't have all these multiple degrees and all these different sciences. He's just focused in this area. Yeah. And it makes sense that Tony Stark would be the creator of Ultron who deals in tech and AI. That makes sense. Yeah. You know, and I'll take that, you know. So like, you know, so even their re-explanation of things bowls over to say we're going to make sense of it. We already have a suspension of disbelief of having a man who was born in the 1950 or 15 or something like that being technically a body Adonis and holding a helmet. We'll give you a suspension of the belief right here, but we're still going to give you some things that make a little more sense. So I enjoy what they're doing.
That's a credit to the Ultimate Universe.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's a credit to the Ultimate Universe because the MCU is heavily influenced by the Ultimate Universe. Mm-hmm. Even Peter Parker's story now is like heavily influenced by
exactly. Sam from Nick Fury, all of that.
Everything. Yep.
All of that is.
It's really smart how they did everything.
Well, this was the first time we did it was like our gaming episode. So this is like our second Blerd's Eye View After Dark episode. Thank you guys for tuning in.
We didn't record that. Anywho,
yeah, we didn't. Yeah, we missed that one. That should have been the third one. But we want to thank
the only one,
right? But we want to thank Mr. Tetris Cosplay for coming on with us. Tell anybody out there who's listening or watching this episode, where can they find you?
You guys can find me at pretty much anywhere: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. At Mr. Tetris Cosplay, and you can find my group for Black cosplayers and utilities. Anybody that really supports the cosplay community with their crafts and services at Black Cosplay Boosters at Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, all of it.
All the social medias.
Everywhere.
DC. Right, DC.
Taking on.
Oh, they can find me in my bed. I'm about to go to sleep, yo. I've been up since 6 this morning. Like I want to keep grinding, but man,
there's a time in the place. Yeah, we got a show tomorrow.
What the shit? That's where you can catch me at. Most of the time, I'm hanging out in the man cave, talking as much shit as humanly possible. And for me, that's all day, every day. So we'll be talking tomorrow. We got a new sponsor. I want to kind of give a clue to it, but I don't want nobody to hear because I just wrote up the thing for them. So it's a new sponsor. So you got to listen for this new sponsor because it's a hot product and I want to push it. So what's the shit tomorrow at 4?
Tune in tomorrow at 4 o'clock.
From 4 to 5, we'll be going, lead you up to the Super Bowl, the big game. We got predictions. We got prop bets. We got Super Bowl weird trivia. I don't know. It's some time.
We'll figure it out.
But we got my boy Jerry Everett coming on, who is a sports fanatic. So yeah,
that's gonna be fun. We haven't had Jared in a while. We haven't spoken to him in a minute. I'm your host Chris Fury for Blerd's Eye View After Dark. You can find Blerd's Eye View anywhere on the social media. You can find us on Instagram at Blerd's_Eye View, and you can find Blerd's Eye View on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and probably have a website later on down the line. But we'll be covering everything throughout the month and longer. For 28 Days of Black Cosplay, we'll be featuring Black cosplayers, showcasing those who have a great talent, an insane amount of talent. And until next time, I'm your host. Educate yourself and others, entertain yourself and others, and most of all, encourage yourself and others. I'm your host, Chris Fury, and we're out.